Time to pack your bags and get ready for what I still think is going to be a huge October for Bitcoin. Yes, we've seen a little bit of a correction, but when you look between the surface or the lines, it still looks very bullish. And we're going to break down a couple of key things I think are definitely worth noting and why I'm not panicking for Uptober. All of that in this video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Let's get into it. So I want to start with this chart from Crypto Rover, and he's been putting out some pretty good charts. Again, comparing previous Octobers 2023 followed exactly the same pattern, but these are the bull market or the halving years and how October has played out. And you always see the move into October is generally met with a correction before absolutely exploding. Even if you look at last year, we actually saw about a 7% decline going into October, followed then by a massive move. So October tends to trick people. Remember, lots of views are the market does the opposite as to what people think. September is a great example of that. Everybody expected September to be a 4 to 5% decline, and we didn't. We actually got a 10% increase. Everyone expected October to absolutely pump, and the problem we've got in the cryptocurrency market is everyone thinks everything's going to happen in an instant. So everybody comes into October, expects the market to hugely move. It doesn't. People then move positions. Obviously, the whole Iran Middle East situation doesn't help anything, but this is worth noting. If you're long-term greedy, if you're a long-term investor in cryptocurrency, don't be fooled by instant price action or the lack of it, specifically at these key moments, October, November. We know Q4 is expected to be pretty big. We also know that on the back of that, we are finally seeing BlackRock starting to buy. Yes, they had a little bit of a cool off, but look at some of these others. ProShares coming in with 873 Bitcoin purchased just today, as well as Franklin Templeton at 112, Invesco at 120. So still some pretty big wallets out there and pretty big buys in terms of Bitcoin and these ETF products. So they are, again, institutionally very positive. Look at that, 5,000 Bitcoin purchased over the last 7 days from BlackRock. Expect some more tomorrow as we go into the weekend. BlackRock love a buy on a weekend. We don't generally want to see a massive market move, but keep your eyes peeled because I think it's going to be interesting, especially given BlackRock believe that Bitcoin volatility is going to continue to fall, predicting a decline in Bitcoin volatility as it stables for a long-term investment. And you know the old saying, you don't need me to teach you this, but if in doubt, zoom out. You look at the price of Bitcoin, it just simply goes up. That's why you've got people like Michael Saylor talking about $1 million Bitcoin. You've got Michael Saylor talking about, the next 10 years, $30 million Bitcoin. It still goes up. And the point here from BlackRock, the fact they're going to come out there and tell us that volatility is easy. Why? They are buying more. Institutions are coming in, and the reality is people are awakening to what's going on. There's a very interesting sentiment chart right now that just talks about the emotion that sits behind it. When we see this kind of moving to the sideways, everyone's in the yellow phase. No one really knows what's going to happen. Whenever the market dumps, everybody panics. We're all going to zero, and all those people that believe we're going to $30,000 come out of the woodwork. Guess what happens? The market does the complete opposite, and I think it's definitely worthwhile thinking about. In fact, we actually have some experts giving their view specifically on what's going on in the market and why we are seeing Bitcoin holding where it is, but why they're particularly bullish on what's coming up very, very soon. Quote, Bitcoin also dropped for a few days, but then found its peak when the US dollar found its low. Now we find ourselves at the present day where we just seen the US dollar break out of its downtrend. This seems to put pressure on Bitcoin, at least in the short term. Now we obviously track the DXY here on the channel, and you can see that at 0.3 on a big move, as is the S&P 500. Remember, people don't like risk assets when risk increases, so people de-risk. They move into what they deem as more safe assets. Things like Nvidia, that's up 3.5%. We actually see the Japanese yen moving just a little bit, as well as the VIX. The volatility measure on the S&P 500 is about 8%. So that's starting to come up as well. So people generally move out of these plays. Also, though, goes on to talk about the DXY specifically, saying, I think the DXY has got a little bit more upside here. Now we can come up to the test around the 101.8. The 102 is another psychological level, and that few of these swing bottoms can come in at the 102.3. Quite a lot of resistance overhead. Keep a lookout in case we get rejections, which then could bring a further upside for Bitcoin and crypto, really start to get the party going for assets, and then maybe even the stock market as well. So look out for some of this play, this macroeconomics, and that will show an easing in decision making. Don't forget as well, we move on to a potential rate cut furthermore in November as well. And finally, and this is kind of something that's a little bit out of left field, but I definitely think it's worth it, a HBO TV video, a documentary so much, is coming out allegedly releasing the information that will tell us exactly who Satoshi Nakamoto here. Now, I'm not particularly bothered about what this is about and the fact they're potentially going to release who the Satoshi Nakamoto is, but the point here is we're going to mainstream. The biggest catalyst we need right now is retail to come in, and we need it to come in big waves. This will push the price. At the minute, we've got very speculative players coming in. We've got people coming in for a short-term party rather than sticking around for the long-term games. And I think that's worthwhile thinking about, particularly when we start to look at this. So the HBO documentary will be very interesting, and certainly I'm sure we'll start to bring some new people into the cryptocurrency market. So let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin. We talked about this yesterday, holding 60,700. That's actually a nice little move on the day. We actually broke over 61,000, so it pulled back just a little bit. But once again, following this very interesting pattern. The good news though, printing a higher high that we talked about yesterday on this chart, which, like I said, is always very good news indeed. And actually starting to push to the upside, holding off this 50-day simple moving average as well as the 100, which have both started to take more to the upside, which could start to give us a bit of relief and start to move back above to retest this $64,500 break line that we have been talking about. Now, super long 200-day simple moving average just pulling down a little bit as you would expect, and the RSI divergence is obviously red as well. So we need a good couple of days. What's interesting though is actually when you look at this on the weekly candle, I was talking about this on my live stream earlier on where we talk about all things cryptocurrency. Come and join us 4 p.m. Eastern every single day. The actual decline is nothing like we've seen previous, but when we got these moves, they signified a further push to the upside. And actually, when you look at this on a broader scale, again, that pattern is absolutely within that. But look at this. This is a much lower candle than some of the more recent ones. In fact, you know, nearly a month full of downtrend, So if we can see this kind of green pattern coming next week, a slightly more positive outlook on the weekly charts for Bitcoin, expect a further move to the upside. And actually, the pattern will still be valid. We actually will still be in that place. And look out for even a potential rally back above 64,000, which would be very good news indeed. Let me know though what you think in the comments down below of all of this. And how bullish are you still on Bitcoin? Are you market top? Have the market top been? Or of the best yet to come? Drop it down in the comments. As always, like and share this video. We really appreciate your support. Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you're looking to trade futures as well as everything else. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.